Welcome to Monday Night Live, the weekly training that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and let's start building your wealth.
Tonight, I'm going to go over what we call circle prospecting, but it's not what you learned in the past. Typical circle prospecting is um, area that you're farming, a neighborhood you're farming has a house that gets sold. And then what happens is the realtors that are paying attention will do a postcard campaign for the other houses in that neighborhood saying, hey, did you see the Wilson's house just sold? If you like the details, give me a call, email me, text me, whatever. Or if you'd like to see what your house would sell for, please let me know. Be glad to give you a free home evaluation, no obligation. That's classic circle of prospecting. You draw a circle around the house that's sold and you market to those people in the circle. And I'm not against that. It's great technique. But the thing is I don't like sending things in the mail all the time. Really good circle prospecting is a combination of going in person to visit these homes in a neighborhood and hand deliver a flyer, a pamphlet, a booklet. You can deliver a postcard if you want, but pamphlets and flyers and booklets are far, far better than postcards and business cards. So, in any case, but that's your traditional method. Now, if you think about door knocking, most of you who've been around for a while know I am not a fan of door knocking. Okay, I have done it, but I also know from experience you don't know who you're getting on the other side of that door. You know, it's I to me it just has some basic flaws inherent in the process. So what we do is this, all right? And this is guys, this is where you want to start taking notes here, okay? Especially if you're new or you haven't done this before. So the way we do it is we do canvass a neighborhood, all right? So you want to pick a neighborhood, excuse me, it's either where you live or not too far away. So the way you can do that is this. This is how you want to do it. Now I'm not on an MLS, so I'm not going to be able to demonstrate live here. If someone's on an MLS, we can do that if you'd like. But I'm going to give you the technique. Okay. So here's the technique. The first thing you want to do is do some basic searches on your MLS for sold properties in the last year, and do it based on the area field. So it's automatic anyways. You don't have to really tell it to give it to you by area. Just do it for the whole MLS. Or if you want to zero in on a zip code or a county or a town, that's definitely, you want to do that. Okay. So you want to pick geographically where you're going to market. And you can do that by drawing a polygon around the area if it crosses over multiple zip codes, for example. Okay. So what you're looking for based on the area field is an MLS code that's usually, it could be synonymous with a neighborhood. Sometimes it's bigger than a neighborhood. Sometimes it encompasses parts of different neighborhoods. It's smaller than a zip code. It's an area MLS area field. Everybody knows what that means. The area field. All MLSs have it. They're all based on CoreLogic, and CoreLogic has that basic area field. What you want to do is download that file, the results, okay, so that you can then sort the result. You can sort it by area field, but more importantly, where you have number of properties sold, you want to sort by number of properties sold. So up top are the areas that have sold the most properties. You're looking for an area that has a high volume of activity. So everybody with me so far? Just do a hand raise or um, you know what? I wonder if I froze here. Hang on one second.
You're not frozen on our end, Gary.
Since I'm connected. Okay. All right, hang on. I'm going to turn on my mobile hotspot just to be safe. Hang on one second. Let's see here. Mobile hotspot. We've had a heck of a day out here, uh, weather-wise, and that's probably what's happening. So let me get this mobile hotspot going just to be safe. Okay. And Eric, hang on one second. I'm going to grab my charger because I'm going to make sure my phone doesn't discharge while I'm doing this. So hang on one second. Okay. All right, let's do this. I may lose you for a second, guys. Just don't go anywhere. Hang tight while I'm doing the old switcheroo here. So one second. Okay. There we go. We'll keep going. Okay. Connect. Okay. You guys hear me and see me okay?
Yep.
All right. So we're going to just rely on the mobile hotspot here. So back to what I was saying, I'm not sure why I got cut off there, but the way you want to select your area is to do an MLS search and by solds in the last year. You want to pick the area you want to pick an area where you want to serve. Hopefully no more than 15 minutes from where you live, something like that. Okay. But what you do is you download the file that's the result, the report. You're going to do a report and sort it by number of properties sold. So the areas with the highest number of sales pops to the top. Everybody with me so far? So you focus on areas with high volumes of activity. Now, the next thing you do is you go back to your MLS and plug in one of those areas. Just search one of those areas, get the property sold. This time you want the detail. And what you're looking for is what's called market saturation. You're looking to see, or market dominance. We call it market dominance in real estate. You're looking to see if there's an agent or two or three that are dominating that area. So if you have an area that's encompasses 300 homes, okay, and we know that on average, there's going to be 30 homes that'll sell in a year out of 300. Just statistically, just say that's an average. What you're looking for is to see if there's one or two or three agents that are commanding that marketplace. They're getting the vast majority of sales, like greater than a half, and the other half are divided up amongst dozens of other agents. Okay. Here's why this is important. My suggestion is don't try to go penetrate those markets. If they're already dominated by one or two or three agents, don't waste your time. You'll have some success, okay? But there's going to be so much loyalty to those agents who probably live there, by the way. They're probably doing annual picnics. They're doing flyers, postcards all year long for Christmas and New Year's and, you know, 4th of July, Labor Day, Independence Day. Just I just know this. I'm telling you this from experience. You're going to have much more success going to neighborhoods that have a high sales volume but don't have market dominance. There's no agents that's commanding more than 10% of the marketplace. Okay. So if you had that, all the agents are getting, 2, 3, 5%. That's the neighborhood you want to go in and do this technique. Okay. Everybody with me so far? All right.
Yep.
Just use the data, use your minds and make good decisions here. Now, if you really want to dominate a marketplace, the way to do it is starting in spring or fall. I mean, you can do it in the winter time, you can do it in the summer, but generally it's pretty cold in the winter and pretty hot in the summer. So you want to go out because you're going to do a lot of walking. And you're going to do that in the months like spring and fall where it's comfortable and people are more likely to be out cutting grass, washing cars, trimming shrubbery, playing ball with their kids, walking dogs. doing all kinds of outside stuff, raking leaves, things like that. Okay, so the first time around, you want to actually go around and hand deliver a flyer or a booklet that I'm going to show you here in a minute. So for right now, don't worry about the content. I'm going to give you the content. Right now, we're focusing on the technique. Okay, but here's what's different. Okay, we don't actually door knock. Who here is experiencing a sigh of relief knowing that you do not have to door knock? Okay, because I know I don't want to door knock. All right. So what we do is we look for people that are already out, cutting grass, raking leaves, what have you, and just walk up to them. Now you're going to be dressed appropriately, not wearing a suit, but you're also not wearing what you would wear to the pool. You're just wearing casual clothes that are comfortable for you, and you feel confident in those clothes. And most likely wearing tennis shoes, and that's okay to do that. All right. So what you do is either have a set of flyers or booklets with you, walk up to people and say, "Hey, my name's Quinzella. I live nearby here, and I have clients who've been interested in buying houses like yours in this neighborhood. And I did a report to find out what the neighborhood's like. I had this report. This was your copy. If you want, it's free. I'm not here to get you to buy or sell anything. I just want to share this with you because I'm from the area myself, and I'm very interested in this neighborhood. It's just like my clients are. Is it okay if I do this on a regular basis, maybe once a quarter or something?" So you always want to ask that type of a question. It's called permission-based marketing. Would it be okay with you if I did this like every 3 months or something? Most people are going to say sure. Very few people are going to say no thanks. Some of them will, but most of them won't. Okay. And what that does, it gives you permission to come by every now and then and drop off a new flyer or a booklet. Okay, everybody with me so far? Now, what do we do with the homes where nobody's outside? I just said, I promise you don't have to door knock. So what you want to do is look for a storm door, like on the front door, or a side door near a garage, and take your flyer or booklet and roll it up and stick it between the doorknob and the door jamb. Okay. I know an agent who actually tapes it. He uses blue painter's tape because blue painter's tape, when you take it off, it won't peel paint or anything like that. It's not that sticky. It's just sticky enough to stick tape a flyer to a door or something. But for any case, you just don't want a door knock. If you want a door knock, I'm not going to keep you from door knocking. You can certainly door knock if you want to. Um, I'm just not a big fan of it for a number of reasons. Some of them are safety related. Okay. So the other thing too is I also know we have better sales results when we don't door knock or cold call, when we give them something first, right? We establish connectivity. We establish, who we are, what we're there for. So in a future time, they're much more likely to open a door for us. Does that make sense? Okay. You're basically priming the pump. So in any case, now let's say you go to a front door and somebody sees you there, they're in the kitchen and they see you getting ready to put a flyer there and they do something like this. That means, hang on a second, go ahead and hang on, let them come to the door and just give them the same script I just gave you, hand them the flyer and say, "Hi, my name's Quinzella. I created this flyer for this neighborhood because I have clients who are interested in homes in this neighborhood, and I wanted to do some research about why. What is it about this neighborhood? So this is the result. This is your copy, and if it's okay, I'll do it from time to time. Permission-based marketing. So in most cases, that's going to be the extent of it. But keep in mind that if you do 300 homes, number one, it's going to take you probably 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. You want to do this typically on a weekend. There are times when people, um, depending on the neighborhood and where it is, where you are in the country, it could work on a weekday, like a Friday afternoon or something. We actually had a neighborhood, and I wish I can remember which one it was. I think it was Pensacola, Florida, where, believe it or not, it was Monday afternoon. That was the time with the highest results. I can't tell you why. It was just an anomaly for that area. But in any case, let's say somebody says, "This is so interesting. You happen to come by today because my wife got transferred or I got transferred and we're going to have to move, and we realize we have to sell our house." It's like you almost like you knew that. Well, of course, you tell them, "Well, I really didn't know that, but I'm grateful that I'm here at the right time." So here's what you say then. You say, "I tell you what, I'm really interested in speaking with you further. I can stay now, or if you'd like, I could finish my route today and come back later. But more importantly, I can do more research specifically for you and specifically for your house. Would you like for me to do that? And most people are going to, of course, if they're interested in selling, say, well, of course. And you can say, I can come back later today or I can come back tomorrow. Which works better for you? The key is you're maintaining control of this whole event, but you're giving them a choice. And the critical thing psychologically about a choice is this: there's a subliminal message they're receiving that their subconscious mind telling them saying, choose one or the other. There is no third option. There's no option saying, no, thank you. It's either I'm going to meet you today or I'm going to meet you tomorrow. So you're almost guaranteed to get an appointment. That's what you're looking for, is to set an appointment. Almost never will you get somebody listed on that very first encounter where you're just handing out a flyer. I'm not saying it can't happen, but most cases you're going to have to you do have to do your research first of all, and you do want to come back and sit down and do a formal presentation with them. Okay, let me do a quick pause here and see if we have any questions. So if you guys could just do type in a chat box, put in OK, the letter O to letter K, or do a hand raise. Let me know if you're okay so far, if it's so far making sense. Okay. All right, good. Now, for the most part, what's going to happen is you're going to leave a flyer or booklet in a door on a doorknob, or you're going to meet somebody in person who's out washing the car. You're just going to have that brief conversation. You don't want to be imposing because they're already engaged in an activity. They're with their kids or something. They're busy. You just want to let them know who you are. Let them see you personally. Let them see you're a good person, right? You're not there for harm. You're there for good, and you have something of value to give them. Okay. So what is it that we give them? Well, we want to give them information that's important to them. And as a homeowner, what's important is what's actively listed in my area, what's under contract, excuse me, and what is recently sold and what did it sell for. So literally what you're going to do is to gather your data. Once you know your neighborhood, you're going to gather some data, doing some more research on the MLS. You're going to do a summary sheet of what's actively listed, a summary sheet of what's under contract, pending, and a third sheet, which is what has sold. And you, depending on where you are and what time of the year it is, it could be the last 90 days, the last year, what have you. So you have to determine what that the scope of data is for you in your neighborhood. You'll know when you go out there and do the research. If you do it for a year and you got 3 pages of solds, that's way too much for them to look at. You want to try to keep it to 1 page per topic. Sold should be on 1 page. Just one line: property address, listing price, sale price, days on market. All that's in your MLS. You don't have to create it. Those reports already exist. Okay. So in any case, that's what you're giving to these folks. Now, here's where the circle prospecting part kicks in. Okay. That first part's called canvassing. You're establishing your presence in the neighborhood. And by the way, don't be surprised if sometime when you do this, you get a phone call from another agent saying, hey, what are you doing in my neighborhood? Just say, I sorry, I didn't realize. I had no idea. I did my research, and it looked like 12 different agents had sold a combined 36 properties in the last year, and nobody had sold more than 3. And by the way, I live around here too. And, if it's all right with you, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Perhaps we can collaborate from time to time. But in no way should you back down or back off. I mean, this is your business, and you have every right to be there as much as they do. I don't even care if they live there, So you're not trying to be bold or cocky. You're just establishing yourself and your presence in the neighborhood is what you're doing. Okay. Now, back to the circle prospecting. So if you really want to be aggressive with this, then you want to do bi-weekly this next activity. At a minimum, do this next activity once a month. And here's the activity. What you do is you look to see, if you say you do it every 4 weeks for once a month, what has changed in the last month? What sold? What is now under contract? And what are the new listings? Okay. And you print those 3 sheets off, pending, active, sold. Okay. But this time you don't canvass the entire 300 homes. You would have just canvassed the homes that are around the home that either went under contract, got the closing, or just recently got listed. So you get to determine, is it 25 homes or 50 homes or 75 homes? Personally, I think it should be 75 homes. It's big enough that you're going to get some interest out of that. But it's small enough where it's not going to take you more than a half a day. Okay. So, because remember, this is going to be a regular recurring event for you at a minimum once a month. Okay. And every year, by the way, you should do the recanvassing all over again. Every year, hit the entire neighborhood once a year minimum. Okay. And then every month minimum, you do the circle prospecting part. So by the end of the year, you should have hit all the homes again, probably at least a second time, if not a third or fourth time. Okay. Now there's more to this, but I just want to do a quick check here and make sure everybody's okay. So let me know what questions you have if you do have questions.
I was going to ask you what kind of details to include in the summary, and then you told us. So I lowered my hand.
Well, that's okay. Well, how would you like to actually see one in a live one, an actual flyer in a booklet?
Yes, please.
Well, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, but we're also going to put this, Sugar's going to put this in the email tomorrow that goes out, the after class email, the actual examples that I'm talking about. So let me first make sure I have those readily available. Hang on one second. Let me go here. Okay. All right, let me do a share screen. To share.
Yeah, Gary, I just
And
had a
share.
clarifying question while you're getting
Yeah.
this
Hey,
up.
Christian. Mhm.
So for that original 300 homes that you're canvassing, is that something that you're picking and choosing which house within this radius or within this polygon that you've drawn, or is it every single house?
Not sure I understand the question you're saying. When I select the area, is it based on one home? Or is that what you're saying? Or is it based on the whole area?
So yeah,
There
so
you go.
like, are you basically, picking and choosing based on another criteria like multi-unit
Oh,
only or something like that? Or
yeah,
like, hey, they haven't sold in the last 5 years. Are you just hitting every single house next, like every house next door, next door, next door?
correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So on the circle prospecting part, I'm literally hitting every single house
Okay.
around there. Now, later on, if we have time, I'll show you how to use ReallyFlow to actually be more selective.
Right.
Okay. So circle prospecting was actually developed before we had ReallyFlow. Now that we have ReallyFlow, and that's funny you asked a question, Christian, because I know you're a big fan of ReallyFlow. Yes, you can use ReallyFlow to further select the houses that you focus on
Right.
because if they've been there 10 years or more, they're more likely to be interested in selling. If they got their mortgage paid off and they've been there 25 years or more, they're more likely thinking about, no, I want to go ahead and sell now, or prices are high and move down to Florida or Texas or wherever, right? So you think about when you look at criteria on ReallyFlow, what you really want to be doing is think of the mindset of the person who's behind on property taxes, who's been there 10 years. Think of the mindset of that person. What are they likely thinking? But we're going to get to that in a minute. So, excellent question, Christian, by the way. Thank you for asking that.
Yeah, I appreciate the clarification.
Yep, you got it. All right. So, here is an example of one of our flyers from David Edwards. So, if you look up top here, picture of him, you always want a picture of you, your basic contact information right up front, right up top. Don't give people don't make them look for your contact information. Be right up front with it and tell them exactly what it is. Your neighborhood market activity report. Okay. Now, if you look at this one's a couple years old now, but a lot of the words in here are still relevant today. So, and you'll know why here in a second. Volume, um, the what we call equilibrium, the supply side is actually gotten a little bit better, obviously, in the last couple of years, but it's still a seller's market in most parts of the country. We still have an imbalance between supply and demand. There's other factors there, but the fact is we have an imbalance between supply and demand. So you also tell us what this is about, single family homes, right? And look, it says right here, there are none available. At the time of this report, there was not a single family home for sale in that neighborhood in a 3-month period between November 1st, 2020 and February 1st, 2021. Bold letters right up front. People are like, what the heck? So If I'm a seller, I'm thinking, well, I'm going to sell now because I know I got a great neighborhood and nobody else is selling, so I'm going to sell, and you'll get all the goodies. So, in any case, strongest sellers market in 20 years. For a free no obligation home evaluation, call or text, right? And it gives you what the text there. So, in any case, moving down, then it gives them what's pending. These are what are currently under agreement: the address, the price, square footage, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, year built. Okay. Now we don't know that's the list price, by the way. We don't know the sale price yet because it's not published until the house is actually sold. So then we go down to the actual sold report. And if you look here, there are a lot of properties under agreement, slightly more than what's sold by just by a few. And you can see the list price and the sold price. Look, they're either at or above in almost every case. Now, the one thing he didn't do here is he didn't give the days on market. And it's okay if you don't, but if you have room, I suggest you give the days on market. Then he gives one final pitch, right? So this is a one-page flyer back and front, one page back and front. That's a one-page flyer. All right. Everybody okay so far? So you're going to get this in tomorrow's email. So you don't have to worry about doing screenshots or things like that. You'll get this as a downloadable link. Click on it, and you can download it in tomorrow's email. Now let me show you what a booklet looks like. And this is from Modupe, Idaho. She's up in St. Louis, Missouri. Now look what she does here. You're going to love her booklet, by the way. She gives a picture of the marquee out in front of the neighborhood. Now think about this. If you came home one night from work and you saw a booklet rolled up in your storm door, and you open it up and you see a picture of the marquee out in front of your neighborhood at the entrance, is that going to get your interest? Is that going to pique your interest? Yes or no? Yes or yes? Every single time.
Absolutely.
Yep. So then she says exactly what it is right up front. Fourth quarter real estate info for Riverwood Estates. So you want to be right up front with people. Their neighborhood, their data. It's all about them. Them. And there's Mo. We call her Mo for those of you who aren't on the team. She explains what the booklet's about. She gives her information and her contact information, personal cell phone. And guys, I just want to tell you, I'm not going to call out any names, but sometimes I'm looking for you how to find you. I know the people on my team because they're on my team. But if you're not on the team and I'm trying to find you, and I go to your Facebook page and I don't see a phone number or email, you need to set up a call with me. You've got some real basic stuff to take care of. You want to make sure it's easier for people to find you. Mo makes it extremely easy. She's excellent. And by the way, when she joined the team, she'd only been in the business like a year, So there's Mo's, it's called Open Doors Realty. That's the name of her group. She calls herself a real estate consultant, which I think is brilliant. By the way, if you want to write this down, there's a quick tip for everybody here. Instead of saying real estate agent, say real estate advisor or real estate consultant. And that's one you want to write down. Advisor or consultant. I mean, think about it. Which sounds more appealing, more professional? Which commands more attention? The word agent or the word consultant or advisor? Every single time.
Consultant, advisor.
Yep, absolutely. So the first thing she does in the data, she gives fourth quarter solds, right? And there's a lot of them. Okay. So and I think she does it based on see me line one for I can't read the fine print there. She breaks it down into chunks. But in any case, back up here, she gives the address, the neighborhood, bedrooms, baths, square footage, lot area, the age of the property, the date, excuse me, price per square foot. And there she does give the days on market, which is brilliant. And if you look at this, there's a few outliers. But look at these days on market: 2, 4, 5, 6, 3 days, 4 days, 11 days. And you got one that's 119 days, Another one is 63 days. So for the most part, and by the way, the one that sold 119 days sold for 23,000 less than list price. So there must have been some deferred maintenance in the property, so it's overpriced relative to the condition of the property. Any case, scrolling down here, that's sold, more sold. Okay. And then she breaks things down by big summary, active, pending, and sold. So number of units that are actively listed, 2 2-bedrooms, 8 3-bedrooms, 4 4-bedrooms, and so forth, 14 altogether. 56 are pending. And look at the sold, 712. That is insane. So do you think Mo did a good job of selecting her area? When you look at the summary, 712 sold versus 56 under contract and only 14 active. Guys, that's a neighborhood you want to market to. I'm telling you, that is a huge imbalance. So back at the beginning of the class, look for those neighborhoods, canvass those neighborhoods, and do the circle prospecting in those neighborhoods, and you'll do better. Now, there's one minor flaw on this page here, and let me ask you guys, if you want to unmute yourself or type in the answer, what do you think Mo could have? It's not like a bad thing. It's one word or one phrase that could be better. It commands more. It's called an embedded command. It'll help you get better results. He wants to take a wild guess.
Hi, I just want to take a moment to thank you for watching a recording of the Monday Night Live class. Hope you're getting a lot out of it. I'm sure you will. I wanted to let you know that, you can come to Monday Night Live whenever you want, but you can also participate more with the team. Why don't you set up a call with me, a one-on-one strategy call? I can go over everything with you, show you everything that we have to offer. For example, did you know that on our team, not only do you get your leads, we actually give you your own account on our lead gen system. So this puts you in control. You're not waiting on somebody to hand you leads. You get to pick the ones you want. Okay. Huge difference. We have 21 of our own proprietary marketing campaigns. They're all copyright protected. We're the only ones that can use them. Okay. The coaching is absolutely one-on-one. We got 3 coaches. We even have a 4th success coach that we have access to. Okay. One of left fewer than 100 in the world. Okay. One-on-one coaching. Right now the big problem is volume. We need more transactions. We need more inventory. I get it. Well, we know how to get it. Our team actually outproduces the national average by more than 2 to 1. So if you're struggling, don't do that anymore. If you're a solo agent, if you're a team, let's just talk. Smart entrepreneurs are always open to discussion. Learn what we have to offer, and then you can make an informed decision about staying where you are or moving on. You got to decide, if you're not where you want to be, you've got to take action to get where you want to be. Let's see how we can help you do that. I look forward to talking to you. Click on the link, set up a call. And by the way, I'll see you on the next Monday Night Live.
Any takers? There'll be a secret surprise for those who aren't so
The
shy.
word let's. The word let's.
The word, no, it's actually the word worth. So want to know how much your home is worth? Yep. You know what you should say? Want to know what your home would sell for? Just like that. What will your home sell for? Sell for is embedded command. Okay. Any case, call me today. Let's set up a free consultation to see how much your home can sell for. Now she does it there. With the bold word worth, it'd be better if it was sell for. So that Open Door Realty, she gives her contact information once again. So she gave it at the end. She gave it at the beginning. Whoops. All right. And in the middle, she told everybody what this was about. Then she went right to the data. No, she didn't load this full of advertisements from a lender and a title company, all that kind of stuff. I'm not against that stuff, guys. If you want to do co-branded marketing to save money, like I'll give it a big tip. This is something you want to write down. And you can do this whether you're an EXP or not. Success Lending right now is being very generous with their marketing budget. If you haven't worked with Success Lending, I suggest you give them a call. Just tell them you're in one of my classes or you're on the team, and they'll help you. They'll help you out with your marketing budget. right? But they're going to want to put their, you know, they're going to want to have you give them a page here, like the inside back cover or something. Just be aware of that. But they'll pay for the printing. You know, you've got to go do the walking around. We call that a walkabout, by the way. But they'll pay for the printing. And oftentimes they have a very good marketing division that's really good at creating high quality deliverables. So keep that in mind. All right, let me just check and see if there's any questions here. Let's see. I think everybody's okay so far. All right, now let's do this. If you do that again at minimum once a month throughout the year, usually by the end of the first year, you will have what we can consider had a market presence, market dominance. Doesn't come for a couple of years. You got to do this, you know, 3 years. You know, I know people that have been doing it for 30 years in the same neighborhood, but they also have 30 or more percent market dominance. Okay. And that's why I'm saying don't go to those neighborhoods. You're gonna they're gonna tell you, well, you know, she lives here. She's our realtor. We all use her. Nobody uses anybody else. You're gonna have a hard time cracking that nut. So you might as well go to another neighborhood where that's not already being dominated by a certain agent. So okay. If you have questions, now's a good time to ask, guys. Okay, nothing. How about the veterans? Any veteran agents got any input or insight you want to share? I'm always looking to help improve things for everybody.
So
Um,
I'll chime in, Gary. I actually just got a
yeah,
text from a top 1% realtor in my local area, and she wants to do a live stream on how we can collaborate. So if you
okay,
hear people mentioning the same name over and over again, try to figure out a way to JV and partner with them and drive more traffic to them. They just don't have the bandwidth to do it all. They're happy to help
yep,
you do more deals. So just an idea.
absolutely. Yep, you got it. So, okay. By the way, guys, I want to take a quick little pause here to mention something. So, but Bonetta, if you could unmute yourself if you're at your desk, Bonetta, if you don't mind. She may have stepped away. Um, Bonetta shared with me a couple weeks back a couple of emails with what she's done relative to the new NAR rules and how she's presenting that to her folks. So she was willing to share that with everybody. So when we have the team meeting on Wednesday, remember guys, this week the team meeting is this Wednesday. We moved it from last Wednesday while I was at the family reunion in vacation. We're gonna have that this Wednesday. Maybe we'll do that at that meeting for everybody, but that's just for team members. So unfortunately. Okay. Now what I thought it would do, guys, is this. Let me share my screen again. And then go to our lead gen platform. Okay. Now, Christian posed a question a little while ago. When we're doing the circle prospecting part, in other words, we've already done the canvassing. Now we're doing the circle prospecting part where we only hit the houses immediately around the house that just had a change in status. They either it's a new listing, it just went under contract, or it just sold. And his question was basically, are we selective on those houses that we hit? I hate to use the word hit, that we drop off another flyer to, or do we just do everybody? And my answer was traditionally we have done everybody, but now with Really Flow, we can get more selective. So let's take a look at the criteria and see what we can use, and the filters too, by the way. Remember, there's filters, right? And there's criteria. We'll start with the criteria. So let's just go down here. So the first criteria is absentee owner. So if you think about it, if there are homes around the home that recently sold and the owner of the home doesn't live there, they live somewhere else, and that's either a vacation home or a rental, okay, might they be more interested in the information we have to share? Maybe, maybe not, depends. But what I do know is this is if I scroll down, I know board investor is someone who hasn't bought a new investment property for 10 years. They own investment properties for 10 years or more, but they haven't bought a new one. That's why they gave them the term board investor. That's somebody I would more likely pay more attention to, because I know, not partly because I'm an investor, I know the average hold time for investment properties, residential investment properties, is just over 10 years. Most people start to sell after 10 years. My average hold time is 12 years. So knowing that personally and knowing that statistically, yeah, I'm going to probably spend more time and pay more attention to those people that meet the criteria to be a board investor. So what is their criteria? Board investor is they're an absentee owner and they've owned the property for 10 years, okay? And there's no recorded transfer from the date of the county, which means ownership predates the county record keeping. So in other words, some counties' records don't go back that far. That's what they're saying here. So in any case, yes, that's one I might consider spending more time and money and energy on. What about after actively listed? Well, it's already cat's out of the bag. They're already listed. So remember, Really Flow interfaces with their MLSs, which is pretty neat. What if they paid cash for the property? Maybe, maybe not. But what if they're delinquent on their property taxes? Is that somebody who may be interested in, or maybe thinking about, gee, maybe I should just sell this thing. I can't pay this year. Maybe I won't be able to pay next year too. Who thinks someone who's behind on property taxes might be more open to listening to us when it comes to encouraging them to sell their house? Just to type in yes or no, or raise your hand if it's a yes. Yeah, that's a definite yes. Okay. If you look at the data, it's pretty startling. The report we got just about this time last year, maybe it was a little bit later, end of 2023, was that there was over $30 billion in unpaid property taxes in the US. And of the people who were behind on property taxes, 93% had no debt. They had no mortgage on the property. 93%. So if you just think about the mindset, why is that happening? Well, here's why that's happening. If they've owned it 25 years or more, right, long-term owner, and they're behind on property taxes, it's probably because they paid their mortgage off. They may have, remember, it says 25 years or more, a long-term owner. See, long-term owner is another criteria down here, right? Long-term owner, 25 years or more. It could be 30 years, 35 years, 40 years. So what's happening now is they're used to having a bank collect every month to put in escrow to pay property taxes and insurance for the property. The bank takes care of the payment. I mean, it's you're paying for it, the owner, but they're making sure it's getting paid through escrow. But when your mortgage is paid off, you don't have an escrow anymore. You're not making a monthly payment. That means you've got to pay that tax directly. And if you don't accumulate all year long for that, saving $200 a month or 500, whatever your tax bill is, right? At the end of the year, and you get a $6,000 tax bill, you don't have the money, it's going to be painful. That's what's happening. So yes, those people I would absolutely pay more attention to. Board investor, I said that. Flips properties, probably not, because whoever just bought it because it was remodeled. They're not probably looking to leaving. Foreclosures, yep, that's somebody I would pay attention to. Long-term owner, I've already said that. Potentially inherited, absolutely. If these people inherit this property, they could be out of state. There could be 3 or 5 siblings squabbling over what to do, and you show up at the right time. By the way, pre-foreclosure means they're not in foreclosure yet. They're going to be a foreclosure unless they do something soon. Vacancy, yep, that's one that might make it. Now, here's the thing. If the property's vacant, you want to check and see if it's also an absentee owner, because the address of the owner may be different than the subject property that's vacant. So you can use Really Flow again to further refine your searching and your criteria and who you're going to pay attention to. So guys, is this making sense the way I'm describing this? Yep. Using the data to work smarter, not harder. So in any case, now let's look at the filters. Okay. Property valuations. So we can look at a range of values. Let's say we only want to work in the range of 300 to 400,000, then we can focus on that and not give flyers and booklets to the people whose homes are below 300,000. Your call, but this is one of the criteria you can use. Property features, I would say if you know that the houses are selling the most have 3 or 4 bedrooms, then I will put in here 3 bedrooms to 4 bedrooms. And you would eliminate all the outliers, the houses with 2 bedrooms, houses with 5 bedrooms, okay? Same thing with number of bathroom. Let's say there are houses there. There was a neighborhood we saw earlier where some houses were built in the 80s, some were built in the 2000s. Some of the houses built in the 80s may have 2 bathrooms, or some built in 2000s may have 3 or more. Okay, so you can figure out based on your sold data of the houses that sold, what's the average number of bathrooms for those houses. If it's 3 or more bathrooms, you want to put that in there. Okay. You're built, same thing. I right now, guys, just me, just my opinion, but I've been in the business a long time, and I really would love to not ever have to buy or sell a house that was built before 1978, right? Because that's the year lead paint was outlawed, and anything built before 78, you've got to deal with all the lead paint disclosures and all the lead paint laws, and all that. Everything goes with that. Everything post 78, you don't have those headaches. So I just choose, that's just for me, less headaches, right? In any case, you can focus on square feet. You can focus on these amenities. If you know there are houses that are patio homes, they're on slabs, excuse me, and not without a basement, but the homes that had basements all sold faster, or more quickly, more money, I would select basement. Air conditioning is a big thing, right? Especially with of course, now it's cooling off. It might not that be a big a deal. Garages, that's a big deal. Okay. So select the things that make it easier for you to sell that house. Okay. And also, you know, features that match the features of the houses that have already sold the most. Okay. Okay. Ownership information. That really, I don't think this is much sure is gonna help you much because we really don't care who owns it. I mean, we do, but we're going to sell a home. We're going to sell a home regardless of who the owner is. Um, by the way, I do find this neat that we can actually search by owner name on this system. I just think it's fascinating. Loan information. Okay, here's where stuff starts to get really interesting. All right. Now we know between the years, say 2012 and 2022, mortgage rates were 3 and 4, less than 5%. And then going back 2 years, mortgage rates started going up 4, 5, 6, 7%. So here's why this is important. If we know people are starting to sell and they bought the house in the last 10 years, say 3 to 12 years ago, okay, and we can find that out. We can also plug an interest rate range. In other words, we could look for only homes that have interest rates with a maximum of say 5% or 4%. Okay. And you only would get those homes that have those mortgages with those interest rates. Now, why would this be really important right now and going into the next year or two? Why would knowing if a loan has these low interest rates, why would that be important? Who would be really interested in those types of properties? Yeah, me too. Anybody who wants a lower interest rate, which means you have lower house payments. And we know for a fact that FHA, VA, right, and USDA are all three assumable, 100% assumable for qualified buyers. So any buyer that's going to go get a mortgage on their own is going to qualify. It's the same qualification. They can qualify to assume this mortgage. Okay. And if we want to drill down further, we can go back to the basic criteria and also select people with low equity, right? Low equity means they've got 20% or less equity in the property. Their loan to value is 80% or more, obviously. So that means somebody who would normally put down 20% anyways to avoid PMI insurance. Okay. We can tell them which properties have interest rates no higher than 4% and only 20% equity. You come in, you put your 20% down, you take over the mortgage. It's already been amortized for 5 years. So now you're paying more in principal, less in interest. And you've got only 25 years out of the first 30 years left on that mortgage. You're going to pay it off faster over time. That's why assuming mortgages is such a big thing and so important for people who are they're money conscious, or they understand math. They understand, it's better to pay 3% than pay 7%. So this is one of the key things I want to show you tonight is how you can find these properties with these mortgages that people can assume. And you can select by mortgage type too. Like there's FHA right there. But in any case, the listing information. Again, this system interfaces with your MLSs. So if a property is on the MLS, it'd be nice to know that. So you don't even hit that house. Don't canvass the house, right? It's already listed for sale. Don't circle prospect to the house that's already listed for sale. Now, you can also look here at previous sale date. So you could say, let's just scroll down here. Hang on 1 second. We can do a custom range. So we can say a home that last sold between 2012 and 2022. That to me gives you a huge, massive, giant advantage, right? No other agents have this platform, guys, just you guys. You can now search for the property sold in that 10-year period, go back up here, put your interest rate, maximum 4 or 5%. Now you get all these properties. Remember, a lot of people are starting to sell or thinking of selling after the 10-year mark. Okay. So in any case, let me do a quick pause here. How many of you feel like the wheels are starting to spin? You're getting ideas. You're seeing how you can use this to really ramp up your game and be more intelligent with your marketing, time, energy, and money. Good. That means I did at least a halfway decent job tonight. So, but listen, guys, I want to open this up for you. I don't want to be the only one speaking here. So please tell me what you're thinking. If you're seeing ideas where you can combine one or two techniques by using this data, please speak up. We'll help you figure it out and nail down the details. And I do want to ask you this question too. Between the flyer and the booklet, which one do you think you would rather do if you did the full-blown canvassing plus the circle prospecting? Just type in the chat box, type in either flyer or booklet. I'd be interested to see what the results of this are. We'll do a little test.
And then Gary, there's a couple questions. I think Valerie has one, and then Kurt Sutherland was raising his hand.
Okay. It's interesting. Everybody said flyer, except Anna said it depends on the community. And you're absolutely right, guys. So if you're in a traditional middle-class type neighborhood, right, medium range, it's different around the country, but let's say on average, 250 to 500,000. Flyer is probably fine. But what Anna's getting to, and I know Anna has done some luxury work. If you're in $1 million neighborhood, and in the San Francisco Bay Area, that may be 2 million. If you're in a Dallas-Fort Worth area, that may be 1 million. Having a booklet is going to command more attention. They're gonna realize you've put more time and energy into trying to get their attention. Okay, does that make sense? So if you're in a more affluent neighborhood, I would lean towards the booklet. If you're in everywhere else, the flyer is always going to work, no doubt about it. With a booklet, you'll probably have over time higher response rates to the booklet in the more expensive neighborhoods. That's the point I'm trying to get across there. So thank you, Anna, and some communities would be more conducive to booklet estate style solutions. Absolutely. Yep. Let's see. I have a question. Hey, Valerie, if you want to unmute yourself, please feel free.
Hello.
And by the way, twice in one day. This was a bonus day for me. I get to see you twice today.
I have a different outfit on from earlier too.
All right.
How funny. So anyway, okay, so the houses you wouldn't want to be involved in after 1978 because of paint issue. I have a question about that though, because I used to do title clearance and
Yep.
certain uh cities, villages, whatever, that have transfer stamps will make you
Mhm.
go through their checklist and they want to make sure that that's been removed, or like a flipper just waives it.
Yeah.
Um, I think that maybe it's just me because I know that already. I would
Mhm.
not want to cut off that portion of homes. If you know how to do the research, am I wrong
So would you mind rephrasing
in
that?
that?
So,
I
so,
mean,
yeah. So the question
can you
is,
hear me now?
yeah, I can hear you. It was breaking up a little bit, but it might be on mine. I'm not sure. So,
If the 1978 houses with the
mhm.
lead paint, because there's two ways to not cut those out of your possibility of houses. I know you could go to the city that has transfer stamps because they're going to
Mhm.
require that it's either gone, or a flipper might have just waived it to get the stamps,
Mhm.
but they're going to have to, with their permit, that on the work they're doing, abide by the new laws regarding that and have it removed. So I guess I probably know that not everybody else would. I'm just saying that's a possibility to put those options back in your basket, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. To me, the more information you can have, the better. And it doesn't really take that much time anymore to gather information. I mean, everything's really almost at our fingertips. I mean, we got this great program, Really Flow, but I also know that because of the Freedom of Information Act that came out somewhere around the year 2000, a lot of data is considered part of the public domain. Like, for example, the reason why it's easy for us in the United States to find so much housing information is because a large part of what we pay for, roads, schools, what have you, are paid for through property taxes. So the fact that your house is taxed for property tax purposes to pay for public resources makes that information part of the public domain. Now the challenge is not every no two counties are alike. I mean, when I was in Atlanta one time doing some research, and I don't think it was anybody on the call here, it was a former student, and maybe it was somebody on the team actually. Now that I think about it, we found all kinds of really good information on the county website, totally for free. We didn't have to spend a dime. We were able to do criteria style searching. We didn't have to just put in individual houses. We could put in there things like, um, you know, records of lead paint, reports, things like that. We could find out the gas stations, the restaurants, the, the movie theaters. We could find everything, houses. It was just amazing what we could find. The same thing in it was Pensacola, Florida. Uh, we were down there looking for just multifamily, and the agent said, "There's nowhere I can type in multifamily." And I said, "Well, keep digging." So we got on a strategy call. And we found these other fields. One of them actually said other something, something other something. Clicked on it. And there was like 12 more fields, and one of them happened to say multifamily. So we clicked on it, and sure enough, we got an entire list of all the multifamilies in that entire county. We knew the number of units, the number of bedrooms, everything. It was amazing. So what I'm getting at, guys, is if you ever want to really get into the nitty gritty, um, and you're not sure where to start or you get stumped, just set up a call with me. I'm not saying I'm some kind of genius at this. I've just done it thousands of times for thousands of students all over the country. I mean, very rarely have we come up empty. The times we have was one time in Nashville. It wasn't, we weren't stumped. It's just Nashville let us get so far, and then they wanted us to pay $30 a month to get all the data that we wanted. That was one example. Another example was up in Maine. Any Mainers here? Anybody from the state of Maine? Okay. Well, in Maine, their county records are so far behind. I don't know how they conduct business. I don't know how they're not in trouble, quite frankly. But we were up there doing some research, and we were looking at a farm that we knew had sold. It's like 6 months ago, and the deed still was not recorded. It still showed the old owner information. That's that's bad bit. I mean, that could be real trouble for people. Somebody could step in and record a deed before the deed of the sale. And guess who gets preference? It's the date of the recording. Yeah. You got to go through a court case to get that kind of thing turned around, you know? So Valerie, back to your question. I would say when it comes to something like lead paint, the reason I choose to not deal with this, I'm not saying you can't get good deals. In older, bigger cities like the Northeast and the Rust Belt, the vast majority of your inventory is going to be pre-1978. So if you're in Cleveland, Buffalo, Detroit, Pittsburgh, unfortunately, you're going to have to deal with that. And I
Boston.
did Boston, yeah. And I did that for a lot of years. I just got tired of it. So I moved back to Virginia. I was in Florida for several years, and most places were built beyond that. It was so much easier. I mean, it was just, oh my gosh, so much less work. And the construction. See, the other thing too, it wasn't just the lead paint, but I knew if it was post 1978, they would have concrete block foundations. They would have Romex grounded wiring. They'd have copper piping, none of the old stainless steel or lead paint piping, right? There would be no asbestos. All these beautiful things that I didn't have to deal with anymore were gone. And I'm thinking, well, gee, this is just how I'm just going to do my business then. I just going to choose post 1978 properties and eliminate a lot of that headache. But again, if you're like in Boston, if you do that, you're going to be out of business. So just keep in mind, if you're in Boston, some of those older Rust Belt or Northeast cities, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, that's the vast majority of inventory. You're just gonna have to deal with it. But you can see if a through the what's called a title search process, if there's ever been a lead paint report filed, and when it gets remediated, you have to get it retested. That gets filed too. So you can see if a place has been reported and a place has been remediated. So it's not like it's hard to find. Um, So Valerie, anything more on that, Valerie, from your experience that people might need to be aware of, or maybe should keep as in their
Um,
pocket for a question?
God, like Cook County has got, their own messes, including titles that are not accurate because of late recordings, but hopefully they've caught up after COVID. Um, but certain cities, of course, they all have their stipulations with like silly stuff like, is the garage, does it have the address if there's an alley?
Mhm.
Just a list of things. So I would just personally suggest, if you're getting involved in a town or neighborhood that isn't where you live and you're not experienced with it, just pull up on the website like transfer stamp requirements, or if you're
Yeah,
going to sell a house, so, just be familiar, because then when you talk to somebody that's interested in selling, you're kind of prepared. That's all.
yeah, I agree. Thank you. Yep. Hey, Kay, do you have a question? Hey, you're still muted, Kay. Hang on, let me see. I just clicked the ask to
There we go.
unmute button. There you
Okay,
go.
can you hear me now?
I
My
can.
question is, if you have a situation where these counties are behind, if you've paid to have your deed recorded, does that count as you being in line first? Or is it if somebody else gets it recorded before you did because somebody screwed up and you can prove you paid to have it recorded before they did? Is it yours?
Yeah, well, first off, it's always the recording date first.
The
And
recording date first.
if there's a dispute, you do have to go to a hearing. In most states,
Okay.
you have to go to a hearing. You have to prove that you had a closing 3 months before that recording, and you can pay, you can show that you paid. You can show that the date, and you signed the settlement sheets and all that. In most cases, they're not going to you know, nobody's going to steal your house from. Although that is possible because it's been a problem in the country the last couple of years. But what I'm getting at is, um, if a subsequent deed is recorded where the actual transaction, the activity occurred after, or sorry, before or after a recording that wasn't filed, and that reporting subsequently is filed, then you're going to have to go through a process to get that turned around and get it corrected.
Okay.
That's the point. In some cases, You know, it depends on where you are, what county, what state. Sometimes it could be easy, sometimes it could be hard. I don't know what they do in Maine. And then maybe they all know each other and they know if
Oh,
who sold what when. I'm not sure, um, but keep in mind there have been situations in the past. I used to own a title company too, where this is I'll give an example of what can happen. Um, there was a lender I knew, who was a commercial lender, so he would help you and I get commercial loans, but would also lend himself privately. It wasn't hard money. He just, if he saw a good deal, he would lend the money himself. And he did that for me one time. I had a portfolio of properties and he gave me a second mortgage that was essentially a line of credit across the entire portfolio. They encumbered all my equity. And he drew up liens for all of those, but he didn't record them. You know, no, I never did anything malicious or anything like that at all. I never caused any problems, never caused any trouble. But later on, when I was going to get another mortgage, there's a question on your application. You have to identify all of your debt. Okay. So I know some people would say, because some people did tell me, including him, by the way, you don't have to tell them about this loan. But I said, I know that, but I also know I am a banker. I was still in at PNC Bank at the time. And I said, that's bank fraud. You don't lie to a bank about your loans, your anything. It's an automatic felony. That's big trouble. Okay. So I, of course, disclosed that I had this second lien on all the properties. It didn't matter because I was buying another property. In fact, what I did was um, I bought the property, used a line of credit to buy it, by the way. Okay. Then went to refinance it. Okay. And used the funds from the refinance. So it was now I had its own brand new first mortgage. I got the proceeds because I had no debt on the property before. Remember, I used a line of credit where the debt was against my other properties. So I leveraged the debt on the other properties to buy this new one using this line of credit, right? That wasn't recorded. With the refinance it, I did disclose it had a line of credit. Good thing I did, right? And I was, did the right thing. And I put in there that I'm going to use the proceeds to pay back the line of credit. Okay. And by the way, when I added that new income producing asset to my portfolio, which was a big building, generating more revenue, what did that lender do for me on my line of credit? Just shout out what you think he did. He increased it. So I had a bigger line of credit. I go out and buy a bigger property. And guys, this is not part of tonight's subject. I just want to tell you this because I get asked this all the time. How did I buy so many properties? That's how. So I bought my first 10 properties I put down 20%. I get the property, fix it up, and raise the rents. So the property is now worth a lot more than when I first bought it. Right. Then it had more equity and it had more cash flow. And I would bankroll the cash flow to give my down payment for the next property. And I would do the same exact thing. It was like a stair step approach like that. And had 10 properties. By the time I got to the end of that year, I had 30 units. I had some duplexes and fourplexes and triplexes and stuff like that. Ample equity, got that line of credit, allowed me to pay full 100% cash for the next property. Then I was using the BRRRR method, buy, remodel, rent, refinance. But I was doing it 100%. I wasn't just doing it 20% down anymore. And it only took me a year, but I started off because I saved my money from using my license to help other investors. I saved all my commissions to get that first down payment. That's what I did. That's what the whole idea of this team is built on that premise that if I can help you get in the game of helping investors, I know you're going to get more commissions. Some will be big, some will be small, but you're going to get more than if you just work with owner occupants. Bankroll your commissions you get from your investors, live off the ones you get from your regular clients, save them enough to put 20% down so you don't have PMI, right? You get a better interest rate, better term, better everything. Get that first property. Do as much of the work yourself as you can. I know that's countering people, all the gurus say, don't do your own this, don't do your own that. I'm telling you, I would rather put the hard work in up front, right? To do the hard work now so that life is easier later on. And I'm glad I did that. I didn't do that forever. I did that for the first couple of years. They didn't have to do it anymore. Gradually, I started paying more people to do more of the work. Then I built my own team, my own remodeling team. Then I had my own property management team. Built that business out. But it all started with me learning how to do it first. Then I knew how to delegate to other people and who to hire and how to hire them to do the other work. one step at a time. And that's how I did it. When I got to that line of credit, that commercial line of credit, it was I retired from the corporate world then, by the way. That's what I did. So I didn't have to work anymore. Then I was doing this full time. And I did 17 projects that year, 17 remodels that year. And the one mistake I made is one time I had 7 at one time going on. I do not recommend that. You know, way too much strung out. I didn't know I had no clue what was happening in all those properties. Contractors would call me up. Hey, we're going to put this counter in, but it turns out you need a new XYZ. I'm like, just go do it. Do it. I kept saying yes so many times. When the dust settled, when the cloud cleared, and after it was all done, I was no further ahead. I owned more properties, but I had no more cash flow in equity because I spent too much money. I had no idea. It was one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made, you know, but I never repeated that again. My maximum was 4 at a time, 4 properties at a time, right? Because you can manage that. Most people can manage 4 properties. Anyways, that's way off the tangent of tonight's subject. Any questions on tonight's subject, or any subject at all for that matter? You guys are quiet. Everyone must be ready for dessert or something. Well, listen, guys, I enjoyed tonight's class. I hope you did too, and I hope you got some good golden nuggets out of it. Just remember, tomorrow you're going to get the recording. You'll get those 2 documents, the flyer and the booklet you can use as models if you'd like. Just remember the research in the front end is what makes this work. Doing the research up front, gathering the data, knowing which neighborhoods are already dominated, knowing which neighborhoods have a high turnover rate, which ones are selling. That's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck doing this technique, So, and then use really flow to hone in down further on like the assumable properties, assumable mortgages, and people that live there a long time, and people that plan on property taxes and all that. You use that to your advantage. I mean, that's what it's there for. That's why we bought it. So, and by the way, for those of you who weren't on early, we wished Dashita a happy birthday last week, and this week, guess what? She got a property under contract. That's the first one on the team. Is that right, Dashita?
Yay.
All right.
Good job.
Nice
Thank
work.
you.
You're very welcome. I was glad to celebrate that. So,
Me
okay, guys, well,
too.
hey guys, I'm gonna head out if you don't have any questions. But please set up your one-on-ones if you to next week's a regular full week for me. Last week, of course, I was out all week, so I feel like I need to do some catching up. But if you have things you want to go over, you need some guidance, please use the strategy call so we can do that one-on-one. Okay. Sound good?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
I'll leave you
you.
with one.
Thanks, Gary.
You're welcome. But I'll leave you with one more thing here too. Challenge yourself. We're just now past the midway part of the month of September. We're heading into the 4th quarter. Don't go cruising in on vacation mode at the end of the year. Start now, prepare yourself, because in December volume is going to be low. In January, you'll have a little bump, and it's slack in February, a bump in March, and then on from there. But position yourself so you can keep making money during the winter months, and then you do that by starting now. Do like the circle prospecting, okay? But the challenge yourself part is this: I want you to please write down what it is you want to accomplish in this 4th quarter. 1 sale, 2 sales, 3 sales, whatever that is. My first duplex, whatever it is. Write it down, stick it on a sticky note so you sit on your bathroom mirror every morning when you get up in the morning, and send it to me in an email or a text. Okay? Sound good? And that goes for everybody, by the way, whether you're on a team or not. You just write that down. I can't emphasize enough how important it is. When you write it down, it's more likely to become real. Okay?
Okay.
All right. For the
Thank you.
team members, I'll see you Wednesday night. And for everybody else, I'll see you next Monday. If you need a one-on-one, please set that up.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate
well,
you.
God bless you and your loved ones.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching this episode of Monday Night Live. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and go to realestatewithgarywilson.com to join our community and start building wealth today.